Hello and welcome to Spitfire, episode 5 of season 2. My name is Brice. I'll be bringing you all the topics and stuff and moving things along and hopefully reining in our guests. Joining me for this one, of course, is going to be Chris Tunn, who's just going to be on camera but doesn't put his webcam up anymore, so we can't see him. But more importantly, we are our guests, the regulars, as we should now start calling them. First of all is Jordan Reed, a.k.a. Reedy. Reedy, how are you?
I'm buzzing, man. I'm doing really well. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. It's just, this will be an interesting episode to kind of go through. A controversial episode, potentially. MadCat is our other guest. How are you, MadCat?
Good, man. I'm good. Yourself?
Very good. Thank you very much. It's been a better week than usual. So hopefully this will all go well. I expect we will have a little bit of a reaction from chat depending on these, because this first topic we're going to cover today is about OpTic gaming. Because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack. So, context-wise first. God, there's so much to this topic now. I feel like we've talked about it so much the last month, but
you're gonna have to give because the thing is, there's so much to it. Is that I'm sort of forgetting all the pieces at this point.
Well, everyone hates OpTic J now, because of Infinite messing around with OpTic and how it is. But I'm trying to figure out the best place to start this. So I guess I'll start with the most recent news. OpTic apparently do have the LA spot for the franchise next year. OpTic being the Immortals OpTic now. And I've actually just got linked an article about it.
There's a little premise to this as well. It sounds like, I know just a little bit of added info, is that the LA one was really... there was a lot of bids going in for that one, and there was rumours of it going up to 80 million.
I heard those rumours.
So... they're committed. Who's laughing?
It's MadCat.
80 million, you know.
Nobody's bid for London yet, apparently.
Can someone clear up why is Jay getting roasted?
So here's the thing. So before we kind of dive into the new stuff, the OpTic fanbase have turned against Jay. Basically, from what I couldn't even see like anyone actually directly blaming him, but it seems like mismanagement in the Infinite Esports thing. People weren't happy with it, especially since the rumor came out that the COD team was going to be dropped last year, and the Halo team, and all that, and all this mismanagement going on. People are very unhappy with how Jay handled content creators, how he dealt with Hex, like so much stuff. So everybody kind of hates OpTic J at the moment. You know, if he is OpTic J anymore, because technically he has no part of the brand. So that's one part of it. Then there's this whole OpTic LA thing. Now, Hex has been tweeting about it, and I did ask Hex to come on today, but he says he's not talking about it till tomorrow. But unfortunately, the show is today, so we have to talk about some stuff here. And this requires a lot of context, because first of all, I have to point out anything said in this discussion coming up is speculation based on what we currently know. What we can't fathom in is what we don't know. I do not know the inner workings of OpTic. I do not know what Hex has had meetings behind the scenes. I do not know what has been told to the players. So if I am wrong, and if anybody ends up watching this from OpTic, they probably won't, but if anyone ends up watching it and I have been wrong, or anyone in here has been wrong, it's genuinely because, not because we want to kind of just start guessing stuff and throw stuff out, but it's basically an educated guess on the fact that we're trying to figure it out from our side. And I'm sure Hex's statement tomorrow will help highlight some stuff, because there technically like 3 sides here at the moment. Well, 4 if I'm being honest. There's Hex's side, there's Infinite side, and there's Immortals side. I suppose also the player side, and probably somewhere in all that mess is the truth. So it's been an interesting time on Twitter recently, simply because OpTic announced. So here's the time of what I saw happen. Hex tweeted out in the morning the video of him. I think it was at Anaheim, where they were all chanting Hex is OpTic, right? Hex is OpTic. Hex is, and he said, "I'm so blessed for this, so thankful for this." And that was like a precursor to, you know, basically that was, from what I can tell, Hex's way of saying I'm not involved anymore. And if that was a subtle way to say it, what happened next was a very blunt way to say it. Immortals, it turns out, have looked like they've won the LA spot, which was probably what a lot of people think was the most valuable spot in the World League next year. And then he tweeted out, after OpTic tweeted out from the official OpTic account, he tweeted out, "That ain't us." To me, that means that Hex really isn't involved on the Immortals side, like at all. As far as I can tell, from that basis of it, Hex is just not involved in OpTic at all anymore. And if he wasn't before, I can't see Immortals being particularly happy that he's essentially ignited an OpTic civil war. The players clearly weren't told about this franchise spot, but whether or not you think the players needed to be told before it was announced, I don't know, because Scump and Crimzik both tweeted out. Crim just tweeted LMFAO, yes. But it's so weird at the moment. I don't know what you guys saw for the last couple of days.
It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Realistically, seemingly anyway. It's one of those things that I don't think we're ever really going to know what's going on or what has happened.
No. Even with the official statements that come out, I'm not going to take them all at face value. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah,
because everybody's going to try and make themselves look better. So I just don't know what's going on.
The curiosity for me is that the COD team have to be careful with it, obviously, because you presume they're not under. Although saying that, it could be the fact that Hex has managed to keep control of the COD team and have to go under a different name after a certain amount of time or something like that. I don't know.
I can't see that being the case.
What do they mean by this, Anos? Do they mean it's not the OG OpTic guys? Is this just
that's the bit that confused me, because to me it basically says, that's me Hex saying fuck you Immortals, fuck you for not letting me be involved. You've just taken the name now and you've plastered it on the LA spot, and he's saying this isn't us.
Right, so let's think about it like this. Hex was 100% owner or whatever they were. He was the face of OpTic, right? And Infinite fucking bought OpTic. Hex lost a percentage in OpTic.
Yeah.
They were majority owner. Like, they choose to sell it, even though Hex is the face of OpTic, and it is literally, like, don't get me wrong, OpTic is Hex. OpTic is those COD players. OpTic are those Gears of War players. OpTic is the snipers back in the day. OpTic, Nature, all that stuff. Like, Hex created that. There's no pussyfooting around it. But he sold it. He lost his majority share, in my eyes. And if Infinite sold it, he wanted to buy it back from
we heard that, right? Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if Immortals have got it and they're calling it OpTic, at the end of the day, it's a business move. Right. It's well within their rights. Like, yeah, okay, Hex, like, people aren't going to support it, right? Fan base, no, not a chance. They're not going to support it. At the end of the day, it's franchise, and if they big figures of 80 million for that spot, like, they beat, I know for a fact 100 Thieves are trying to go for that spot. They'll be stupid if they wasn't.
Yeah. Well,
let's be honest.
It's supposed to be the most valuable spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, most lucrative, like, it's LA, it's like one of those things, like, they've won the spot somehow, and I don't know if, like, it's because it's OpTic or maybe they just put up the most money. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but at the end of the day, they're well within their rights to use that thing. And Hex it's nothing to do. Like, if Hex say that ain't us, well, that he's not a part of it. And he, like, I'd be upset if I was Hex. I'd be super upset, but not at Immortals. I'd be upset at Infinite.
So here's before we jump in, right? I want to give some context to this, because I feel like the people may take what I say as a negative thing against Hex. So I need to give some context of how I feel about Hex and how I've known Hex over the last, like, 6 years. Hex is a very rare individual in the fact that he is so driven, and we all know this, right? He's incredibly passionate about what he does, and it's very easy to say that about a person, but you can genuinely see it in him. Here's the most positive thing I can possibly say about Hex is, bearing in mind he's a millionaire, one of the most biggest faces of the Call of Duty and esports scene, million followers on so many accounts and all that sort of stuff. That man will still go out of his way at an event to come and shake your hand and say hello.
Literally the nicest person in esports. I don't care what anyone says.
There are stories about Hex, if you remember, like, Marky B and Excellence back in the day at UMG, they were all stiffed him out of flights. Hex came forward and paid for those flights, and then told them to not to worry about it when he saw him at the event. He said because he was going to their orgs for the money. He wasn't gonna. It was to just completely put their mind at ease. He said, "Don't worry about it, because as far as I'm concerned, your org owes me that money. So that org owes me that money. We won't talk about this money ever again." right? So for me, Hex is got this incredibly grounded sense of, very, very nice guy. And as far as I'm concerned, if he walked past me at an event and didn't even acknowledge me, that'd be fair play because it is Hex. But this whole scenario doesn't make a lot of sense to me, other than I'm guessing I know how I think Hex feels. Bearing in mind what Reedy said about Hex is OpTic, OpTic is Hex. Imagine seeing something that he's basically taken over his life. He's built up the brand, his personality and his way of viewing things and the way he likes to do business is in the OpTic kind of ethos. It is how that brand operates. It is a reflection of Hex. It's like his shadow, like it is Hex. And I don't disagree with him selling because, after all the years his money he's put in, after everything he's done, he deserves to get paid out. He deserves that money. He deserves that money, right? And also, I believe one of the reasons that I don't know this for certain, but I'm guessing one of the reasons he sold was because he needed the capital to go against the big boys, right? It could be because as much money as OpTic, how as big a brand it is, it's difficult to compete when people are pumping, 30, 40, 50 million in through venture capitalists and bigger investments and all this sort of money flowing in. And Hex needed that to stay competitive. You go into LCS, to go into all these different things. You can't stay Call of Duty forever, and he knew this. He saw Hastro do it, right? Hastro took a big investment for Envy. So my only issue is this whole thing is very weird because it feels like Hex, he let the org go. He let the brand go to control to somebody else. And then once he did so, obviously Infinite kept him on. And however that was mismanaged, it does seem like he was slowly being moved out of the business side, if that makes sense of it. Like he was no longer as in control as he wanted to be at the start. And that's probably horrifying to him. It's probably genuinely horrifying, especially when Infinite started fucking things up. Like just making the dumbest of moves. Imagine being Hex, right? Even though logically you've sold, it's still a part of you. You're still, it's your personality. It's all that stuff is OpTic, right? And then you're seeing, somebody actively damage it. It must be like watching, your kids being taken control of by somebody else.
It's like Mike Ashley destroying Newcastle United, but we won't talk about it.
and obviously he's reacted badly to it. And now it's gone worse because of we had him trying to make a bid to buy it back. And that failed, and Immortals took it. And Immortals are now doing with whatever the hell they want with the brand. Gears is gone. They said the Immortals thing said Gears asked to be released. So the most dominant console esports team in history is no longer with OpTic. They've gone. And then the LA spot is now OpTic, and it doesn't look like the players knew about it in advance. So obviously, Hex is upset. I think Hex is genuinely upset that he can't do anything with it at the moment.
I think the one saving grace for them is that this spot next year, it's not going to be called OpTic in COD, is it?
It is. So here's the other thing. This is something that I got linked earlier that I was going to bring up. OpTic is technically the name is now in the franchise league. Do you know why?
Why?
Well, the reason that these individual franchises exist it's to do with the business. Yeah, to do with the business side, is because obviously like that brand has to stay that brand essentially, and obviously you can't have a brand outside of the franchise associated with it because it's not part of the franchise. It's a whole legal mess, right? It's a whole mess to do with ownership and brands and all that sort of stuff. But because OpTic is no longer a brand outside of the franchise, Gears team is gone, LCS team is gone. They're not connected to anything anymore. It is allowed to be in the franchise. So OpTic will only exist as a Call of Duty franchise now. That's it. It will be OpTic. I don't know if it's OpTic Gaming LA or whatever its full name is, but OpTic LA, they are allowed that name now because it is the only brand associated with OpTic.
Well, that's not a bad thing, right?
No, in fairness, that was
something
I
think for them.
It's not a bad thing, but it is a bad thing.
This whole thing is a shit show. I mean, can't really blame Immortals because they just paid what was on offer, right? You blame Infinite for just being absolute arseholes to Hex and not letting him have a say or like, let him buy what he wants of the package. Even if he just wants the Call of Duty team, let him have the Call of Duty team. Like He buys that part and you sell the rest of it to Immortals, you're still getting the same money, but you're just being arseholes because you don't want to give it back to the guy that you bought it from realistically.
It sounded like that.
Look, I've got something to say about this, right? Infinite esports have to be the most idiotic people in esports.
Oh yeah,
at a high level.
With OpTic is
not even that reason, right? So OpTic started back in 06, right?
Yeah.
They continue to grow.
Is it 2009, like officially?
Well, yeah.
the YouTube.
I think the YouTube, whatever. I said 06. I don't know why. But they continued to grow. They kept on getting bigger and bigger. They picked up
2006. My bad.
All right, mad, crazy. They kept on growing. They got bigger and bigger. Started winning championships. Hex was in control of the majority of this kind of stuff, right?
On his own.
Goes and gets it, by himself. I don't know. He probably I think Jay and Fwiz and that were at the start as well. Sorry, excuse me. But like, so with the COD team, they started winning championships, and then he picked up the CS:GO team, went a bit downhill. I'm pretty sure this was before Infinite, right? CS:GO team. I'm pretty sure
the CS:GO team came in before Infinite. I want to say, unless you're talking about the CS India OpTic India team was.
Oh no, not the India team. I don't care about that crap. But the team that won E-League, I'm pretty sure Hex picked them players, and he worked with them players.
Yeah.
So they won a championship in CS:GO. He picked up that Gears of War team. They won championship. Then all right. So then he's sitting there thinking, right, we want to go into LCS. All right, how are we going to go into LCS? We need a big backer behind us. He then sells to Infinite, and then they change everything. They just don't give him as much control. They start picking up CS:GO India teams. They've done that GGA Orange bullshit. That was awful. Like, what were they thinking? I know for a fact.
Yeah, I forgot that was them. Yeah.
Like, so that was all Infinite. Like, it makes no sense why they stripped away the person that built that org from the ground up, winning championships, having that brand. That brand is worth millions.
You buy the brand because how successful it is, but what makes it so successful is the work behind it and what they're actually doing to make it successful. You don't come in, change something that's successful and expect it to keep being successful. That's not how OpTics work. Like,
I can only assume it was Hex, like, by the way, like, with all these decisions with all the teams. I know for a fact it was him with like COD and that, and I know the players had some sort of input.
I know there was other people involved in the whole OpTic thing, but I can never remember any of their names.
Yeah, so like, just to go to like he wants to go into CS, LCS and stuff like that. I could be wrong about the CS:GO thing, and then he gets Infinite, and then it seems like he just got pushed to a side, and then he went and done his headquarters thing, which is banging, by the way. I want to throw that one out there. That's an amazing space. He's got the.
Yeah, that looks sick.
I mean, what confused me, and I didn't really look into it sort of like crap until it came out, and he spoke on it publicly because I watched all of his YouTube stuff and that, all of his podcasts. And what confused me, and I had to go directly to someone, obviously not going to name who I went to, and they confirmed it. The boot camps that they were having, you know, the one with the Splice Heretics, I think they had another one, and then like he's paying for all that out of his own pocket. How is someone paying that out of his like you're not letting him control anything, but he's pretty much looking after your Call of Duty team. He's providing boot camps for your Call of Duty team. Like it's pathetic, to be honest.
And it could be seen as very biased because, to be honest with you, I love Hex. He always finds the time of day to say hi to me and have a conversation with me.
It's the same with everybody, yeah. He's
like, you know what I mean? He's just a real stand-up guy. He's like genuine to the point. Like, I feel like if he had a problem with someone, he would say it straight to their face, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and again, from you, you know, that's high praise.
No, but it's just a thing. Like, it just makes no sense to me. So, like, I could be completely wrong with what I'm saying, where I feel like they just completely ripped him of everything. I don't know. We don't know the stuff behind the back doors. But... This
is a slight bit, right? We don't know 100% what exactly has happened. My only issue with it is while I can agree with all this shit being pulled away, Hex is obviously just this civil war. It's civil war in the OpTic camp. If you're an OpTic fan right now, you don't know whether you love OpTic or you love Hex. A lot of people are going to say they love Hex, but like...
Yeah, well, that's my curiosity behind it all, is...
Hex has kicked off Civil War. He kicked off Civil War yesterday.
The
fully kicked it off.
Who are they going to follow? Are they going to follow
this is the thing.
what a name is OpTic?
Like, he needs to go somewhere to follow.
So, like, Hex is still going to have that strong fan base with his fan base, right? But let's not forget Gumpy, Prim. Their fan base is massive, you know. If they went to LA OpTic, it's still you never know. They could be going to LA OpTic. It depends on how everything's done.
Yeah, it depends on.
It depends where their contracts are. Like
like next year could be completely different. Like what happened with the what do you want to call it? What pro league was it? Oh my god, what was it? It was something that the H1 Pro League where some of the orgs literally released players because they didn't want to screw people over. I think it was Phil's girlfriend, Rogue. They had the best team, but they didn't get a H1 spot, and then they just released players, and then like the players just ended up everywhere else. I don't think they ended up on the same team together.
Yeah, I think Immortals and the OpTic should really still have that that license, right? Like it's so confusing because I don't understand what Hex's endgame is other than he's just like, screw it, we're going somewhere else. I don't know if he's got non-competes involved. I don't know what NDAs he's under. Obviously, we didn't get any statement from him today. There's going to be a statement tomorrow. I imagine those players, if they're under contract, will probably follow the OpTic brand because, let's face it, you know, it's still a good brand, regardless of what you think of it. It's a fantastic brand, and they've got the LA spot.
Yeah,
like, and they're possibly under contract. Like, you'd go there so much. Here's an interesting thing. D3's linked me. Talking about the whole Infinite situation and how some of these people don't really understand. Because he said in this thing, you know, Nate said the guy from Infinite believed the only way to build a big brand was to get a winning team, and that's it. This obviously is bullshit. You know, 100 Thieves had a massive brand before they started winning, massive. You know, I think Reciprocity's done a fantastic job, you know, coming out of nowhere and building a brand through their content and, you know, their hard work essentially, and having essentially a likable team they've managed to put content out for. I still think the Reciprocity content, some of the best content I've seen in esports, period, on a consistent basis at the very least. There's been some very interesting videos. I'm very curious about what Hex is going to say tomorrow. I imagine it'll be like something along the lines of, sorry, we couldn't do X, Y, and Z. I wish we could. I imagine he will say, I'm not involved in OpTic.
Yeah, I don't think
that's what I think. Yeah,
roast the hell out of people. He's going to be very professional about it. But...
Yeah. And that he will be looking to do something future on, and he's sorry he couldn't help the brand or something. But here's the thing: if you're an OpTic fan, like, technically the good news coming out of this is that OpTic are still in COD. Because if OpTic stayed together, if the whole OpTic thing stayed together, you know, like with the Gears team and like Halo, if it was still there, and the LCS spot and all that sort of stuff, if it was all together still, OpTic as a brand wouldn't be in COD. And I know what you're thinking. Is it word? Yes. No. The way it works is I don't believe they could have the same franchise name. It would have to be called something else. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah, but like, you gotta think, like, the OpTic fans, like, the OpTic name would be in the league next year, but you gotta think, like, OpTic's different, bro. It's a family, like.
Yeah,
bro, you play them, bro. I remember playing them, bro. We went MLG Dallas. Dallas, the one they won, and we went last map, and like they won the fourth map, and I've walked down the stairs to go the toilet, and I've got OpTic fans throwing gang signs at me. And I'm sitting there like, am I playing like the LA Cribs? Am I playing like fucking? That's what I mean. Like, they're a family, bro. Like, and OpTic name might be there, but if you ain't got Crim, Scump, Damon, maybe Dashy or TJ now, or Hex behind it,
it's not going to be the same. I remember when we played them at Vegas, and we ended up losing fourth map, and a fan literally screamed at me, "Go cry some more, Reedy. You're washed up trash." And I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't deal with this, man." On a Sunday morning at 11 a.m., like, I'm not like, no, it wasn't even 11. It was like 9 or something like that. Like, didn't even get to sleep the night before because we was playing until like 2 o'clock. Like, if Seth's not in that team, or Crim, like, I honestly don't know if they can have the dedicated fan base. Like, I mean, wherever they go, it's like Clay. You think United would be as big as they are if they didn't have Clay and the fans they have? I don't think they would.
It's a good point. People love Clay. Here's another thing to throw in here. I mean, because there's still so much to unpack about this. OpTic Gaming, I feel like OpTic Immortals haven't actually done anything wrong. I can't see anything they've actually done wrong other than it's just not giving OpTic, not giving Hex what he wants. Other than not giving him what he wants, they haven't actually done. As far as I've seen so far, they haven't done anything wrong.
From outsider's view, they haven't done much wrong.
No, they haven't. They bought a spot. They wanted their LCS spot. Like they wanted that LCS spot, and they went and got their LCS spot. That's what they done.
They paid a bit more for a bit more extra.
And then they got the COD League spot as well, which is kind of, I didn't think they were going to go in for it, but to be fair play to them. They if anything, the fact that they actually managed to get the LA spot, it's like kind of might be seen as like a sign of good faith. Like the fact that they just paid like, I don't even know how much money they paid, but they just paid a lot of money for that COD World League spot, you know? Like, did they really have to?
No, of course they didn't. And that's the thing. Immortals in this whole thing, because of the negative attitude. If you remember, like, OpTic Corporate, you know, when people put that out, and when,
they did, bro. Like, it makes sense to do it. Like, you've got, like, they obviously knew they could call it OpTic. If they get the LA spot, it's going to be the most interesting spot to get the best players.
Yeah.
They probably will get Crim Scum. And you get to keep the OpTic name, and OpTic sells, bro. OpTic sells t-shirts, jumpers, blah blah blah, and a lot of the franchise is merch, bro. And the OpTic name carries weight off the rip, so they'll be the ones getting the merch.
Think about it, right? If you're in LA, if you're in LA, you're gonna go see OpTic play, aren't you? Like if you're a fan, you're gonna go, and it's honestly, if it was less than 50 million, I'd be surprised. But I do think this whole negativity towards corporate over OpTic, it's all because of Infinite. Like this whole negative spiel came from the Infinite side.
Yeah.
And then Immortals have basically they've bought it, right? Which they are in their rights to do. The problem being is that they beat Hex from what we understand, which is just never going to go well over with the fan base. And they just had more money. It's not something they did maliciously. It's not some sort of evil corporate thing that went, we'll just destroy this because we want to. They came in, they bought it. They've even gone further and they've gone, you know what? Bearing in mind, if I remember correctly, don't Immortals already have an Overwatch League spot?
Yeah, they have LA Valiant.
So they have an LA spot, and they could have just called their side the LA Valiant or whatever they need to call it to be in the franchise. But they went, no, we're going to keep the COD name. We're gonna reinvest into what is a significant investment into Call of Duty, by the way. And they've come out of this, and they're looking bad for very little reason so far that we know. I mean, they could have been something happened. If they didn't tell the COD team, that's maybe a little bit bad. But I don't know whether they have that deal only went through a little while ago. It wasn't a long time ago that deal went through. So, like I said, there's an OpTic civil war, and the other problem being is, right, if you look at how OpTic is, and I think it was Reedy and MadCat said this earlier, that is like a family brand. If you take like 100 Thieves is very much like a lifestyle brand. It's what they basically built it up to be. They sell tons of merch because it's a lifestyle brand. FaZe seems a little bit like the same, right? FaZe used to be the big dogs, lifestyle, clout, or whatever they call it.
YouTubers.
YouTubers and stuff, right? That's their brand. United for me, I'm not sure what the United brand, what you'd call it from the outside. For me, it's kind of like they almost look like underdogs no matter what they do, and I just love that kind of friendly sort of bantery atmosphere they put out as well. But OpTic is very much a family, close-knit sort of brand that everybody on the outside looks at it and goes like, those guys are genuinely very, very close and very, very tight-knit. So as soon as you saw a little bit of dissent in the ranks, a little bit of a little bit of negative feelings, the entire of the fan base latched onto that and swung into "we hate you" mode.
Yeah,
like straight away. It wasn't even like a little bit. And if you're a corporation trying to deal with that, thinking like obviously you want to build things your way, and obviously not the Infinite way, which is massively overinvest in the wrong areas. But like you're trying to essentially put in a structure, where you probably don't want the content creators. You don't want these hangers on these people who are just in and around the brand, because how do you quantify that in a business sense?
But that's like a part of like what, like not probably not a big part, but a small part of why there is hate, because OpTic is also over the past couple of years had a content team. Whether the content team does anything is a different scenario. but they've always relied on pretty much. Well, some of them pretty much relied on Hex for a bring in, and that's just Hex making it a family org. Like,
I just don't think.
Once you're family, you're always family in that org, and it's moved on from Hex, and Hex doesn't have no say. Hex doesn't run the books, he doesn't run the finances. So
Yeah.
when these people can be cut, because let's be honest, like, I used to watch like Embo's and not Mania, but like Embo's videos. He doesn't upload anymore. I don't see anything uploaded from him. So like, why wouldn't people that have to pay him a decent salary, or why would they keep him when he doesn't upload content? And there's way more many content people out there with much more room to grow. Like, look at Courage, bro. Courage went from OpTic to 100 Thieves. Why? Because he's got more room to grow, and he's gonna get nothing out of being OpTic. He's gonna be bad publicity.
Well, I think some of the one reason you said was like obviously the way Infinite handled it, and let's be perfectly clear here. I don't really hold Immortals responsible yet, unless some new information comes out. Infinite have set this whole cycle going, all of it,
Yeah.
like everything that's happened here. If this whole anti-Infinite thing didn't kick off and it was sold again, we probably wouldn't be worried about it too much. I was asking. So to clarify that, in case we missed it, if you haven't been tuning into the OpTic saga over the last like year and a half, because apparently it's been 2 years since Hex was in full control. Infinite have managed to put on a massive anti-corporation vibe on with the OpTic fans. They massively distrust anybody but Hex now. So basically, like it's civil, and I don't know what Hex is going to say tomorrow to fix it. I don't know if he is going to fix it.
I don't think. I think it's too far gone. Personally, the only downfall I see about OpTic now is it's not really OpTic. You say you look at TJ and Dashi, right?
Yeah.
They were big personalities before joining OpTic, or even like you joined OpTic, you got hundreds of thousands of followers. Your streams popped.
Yeah.
Just everything. Like, your life changed erratically quick joining OpTic. I don't think it's going to be like that next year.
Yeah. Well, who remembers Parasite joining for what, like 36 minutes or something? I can't remember how long it was. 36 hours?
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, and he
So
gained
many
like
followers.
20,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it's just not going to be the same OpTic, which is really, really sad and disheartening. Well, not disheartening, but it's just super sad. Because in my eyes, like I'll say it again, Hex built that from ground up.
Yeah, it's
people say that he's in control anymore.
People say Hector's OpTic, not. I don't think it's like a thing where it's just relation because we all love Hex. I think it's also to do with the fact that team is him in the essence that his ethos formed what all the fans of OpTic latched onto.
He changed so many people's lives though. Like Nadeshot, for example. Nadeshot wouldn't be where he was today without Hex.
Yeah.
Literally wouldn't. 100 Thieves wouldn't be where it is today without Hex. In a roundabout way.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. You know, Nade did make him so you can't deny that Hex wasn't a mentor to him.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Bro,
Nadeshot put in his own graft. Don't get me wrong, but like a lot of it was down to Hex, like giving him good guidance and giving him a platform as well.
In a small way, he changed everyone that's ever competed live in a small way. Bro, what they did with the OpTic on Black Ops 2, they didn't win anything. That house, bro, they were popping. They had, bro, everything esports was looking at them. Yeah. They were the biggest thing in esports at that time, and they were a Call of Duty team, which meant only good things for Call of Duty. I mean, it's sad to see it go, but at the end of the day, with the franchising, you're gonna take L's because it's just the way it has to go.
I'm just curious as to see where the fans go with it. I think it really does depend on what the team looks like, but
the fans are going to follow Seth.
They're going to follow Seth, but so if they don't have the same squad, nothing to do with Hex, it's just OpTic, but it's just OpTic in name, and that's it. Do they have the same fan base?
What if you got none of them players? No.
Do you not think? Do you think it's just yours?
Without a doubt. No.
Well, go put right now. Go who plays today? Like midnight. Go put OpTic jerseys at midnight and call them OpTic game. I mean, I'd walk out the fucking venue.
That comes down to
we'll get to
player.
Pro League.
I'm being real with you. Like, Bryce, who do you support football wise?
Wow, I don't know if this is a great thing.
I Liverpool. Go put the Liverpool shots on Birmingham, like Birmingham players. Go swap jerseys. Let's see how many people walk out.
Liverpool's a bad. I think they probably still follow, but put it like Man United. City,
Man United, like bandwagon, like City.
Yeah.
But like it's like that. Like you go put up to jerseys on Haggy, Last, and all them on midnight.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna have people throwing gang signs up for them in the crowd? Come on.
No, I think you're right. I don't know what's gonna happen. Here's the other thing that bothers me, right?
Another thing as well.
Go on.
Sorry to really interrupt you.
No, go on.
What other people other than Crim, Scump, and Damon can take the backlash of the OpTic fans when they don't perform? Also, Teep at the moment, but I think he speaks more out than the other three. The backlash that they've had over the past 2 years, like over World War II and part of this game, only certain people can take it, bro. Them fans stay, and they got a whole different team.
They would have had me on the road.
I'd be booking myself into a mental institution, bro. Because, you'd probably have, especially if your name's like Seth or Damon or Crim, probably getting shit thrown at you and walk off the station.
Mate, I've always said, right? You know, you guys have experienced it. I've experienced this in some ways when I've said something negative about OpTic, but you guys probably experienced this more. If you've ever played OpTic and even if you've beaten them, right? You guys know what happens to your Twitter feed afterwards. There is a minority, admittedly, of OpTic fans that are just toxic as hell. And because they're so popular, there is a horrible vocal minority. It's not the majority of OpTic fans. It isn't. But there is some, and you know that your Twitter feed gets destroyed. Imagine dealing with that every day.
EGL5 when they first come over, and I tweeted something along the lines of, "This is a European tournament. Why have we got Americans here?" And this was like when even like Scump was pushing 2K followers. Like I had like 300, and like my Twitter feed was a joke like that. Like it was probably just as much as you'd probably get now. Like that's how die-hard fans, like all 2,000 of his followers were active die-hard fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like
even on fucking 8IW when Formal done that FTL jump and destroyed my life. Yeah, literally shouting my soul. You honestly, I couldn't look at Twitter. I had people roasting their
That's Chance's
life
fault,
out of me. Well, yeah, he's in. But I had fans roasting the hell out of me when my man pressed 2 buttons and like FTL jumped behind me. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna bite the bullet there. I can't really do anything about that. And I couldn't look at my Twitter for 2 days. It was just going off.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
But imagine getting that every day as an OpTic fan, or involved in OpTic in any way. Like, because obviously for Teep to tweet out about it, because Teep did tweet out about it, like, imagine the abuse they give the coach of the team if you don't win the tournament. And Teep's like the nicest guy in the world, doing his work. Going in mind, he's now a big streamer at the same time. He could literally just say he's never coaching them again and just leave. He's literally staying because it's because he wants to. But like it's insane. That is, walking into that scenario, you have to manage the fans so carefully because they react so viciously to anything they perceive, even the tiniest slight. You know,
the only fans that nearly as bad are Australian /Mindfreak fans. Holy shit. Those boys go after me on Twitter regularly.
They should do. Should do. You're a terrible person. But I mean, like Crim only tweeted out LMFAO with spaces in between the letters. And I've seen that tweet quoted like a dozen times on my timeline today. Like they just literally latch onto anything and go for it. It is a fan base that is willing to die for this team. It's called the Green Wall for a reason. I believe that wall is my Twitter feed being absolutely lambasted.
But the thing is, like, you see, we're saying this right now. Are they actually gonna still be fans of OpTic? Like next year, because what we're saying right now kind of leads me to believe maybe. I think
it depends on what Hex says.
Wait, does Hex ever get roasted for a team performing bad? I'm pretty sure he has been.
Yeah, he probably get some stuff.
No, but what's quite mad is
that's a different outlook on it.
Oh, me and Hex had a small Twitter conversation today, and my feed hasn't stopped. God knows what his is like. My feed genuinely hasn't stopped. People even like going at him because he corrected me on the spelling of OpTic and stuff. People just being horrible for no reason. And it's just full. It's literally just filled up my timeline for me and him having a simple conversation. It's just unreal. It's unreal. So I don't know. I think we've discussed a lot of OpTic at the moment because it is a necessary topic of conversation. But this saga hasn't finished, and I don't know where it finishes. God knows what Hex is going to say tomorrow. I don't know whether it's tomorrow he announces he's stepping back, whether he announces that he's got a new project. Honestly, could you imagine if tomorrow he puts out a video and puts on a 100 Thieves jersey or something mental? Just makes the big dick play and goes, yep. On with the 100 Thieves jersey.
I'm down with that.
Break Twitter. It would break Twitter.
Couldn't see him doing it.
Mate, I don't know. Like you said, if
he's going to be part of anything, it's part of something he's going to make himself. I don't think for a second.
How do you make something from the ground up now?
It's more difficult, but I suppose
it's big capital.
Start.
It's big, massive capital now.
Yeah, it'll be physically impossible unless he gets an investment from I don't know who.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm sure he will be trying to be
Roman Abramovich. He's a sell Chelsea, go in with Hex or something like that. I mean, other than that, I don't know how you. I don't know how he's. Yeah, I don't understand how my man's gonna be able to go for a league.
He can't make the league spots are too expensive for anybody other than a billionaire.
That's my point. I don't know how he would work from the bottom up. I mean, honestly, if he isn't going to be in esports, then I can't really comment on it. But I'm guessing he's got. I mean, spend time with his family, retire at the age of what he calls himself, the 40-year-old phenom. Just retire, enjoy life. You know, I know he's got way too much passion for it, so he'll never. I don't think he'll do it, but. It's one of those things.
That was another thing that Edgar's just pointed out. CDL, not CWL. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What's the D gonna stand for?
Duty.
Call of Duty League.
Oh, that's pants.
Wait, is it actually Call of Duty League?
No, Edgar, you didn't leak anything. That was on the what'd you call it? When they announced the LA one, they called it the CDL, and then everyone's just sort of putting two and two together.
Yeah. Wait, is it actually called the Call of Duty League?
Well, because
Call of Duty, you can't Call of Duty League, is it?
Where's the of? I don't see no of.
You wouldn't call it the CODL, would you? Oh, you could. COD L.
We're just calling it the Cuddle League. I love that. Cuddle.
It's a bit mad. It's a bit mad situation, if I'm being completely honest.
It is mad. It is mad. And I can't wait to see what happens next. I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Hex goes. Could you imagine a video tomorrow, right? Yeah, Hex is there. He's talking about what happened, and he announces he's got something new to do, and he walks and just pans over, and there's like nade shot, and he just hands him a Thieves jersey.
Wait, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I swear, Vision used to air every Thursday.
Oh, is it Vision?
It could be.
Could you imagine they do a Vision? One last Vision, and it's just a fucking mental thing. Because their Visions used to be like when Hitch was doing Vision, that was fucking cool content, man.
Oh, here's one thing I have to reiterate, because this is my biggest takeaway from this entire thing. I don't know if I've emphasized it enough. This is the biggest takeaway I can take away from it. As far as I can tell, because of the tweet Hex put out about That Ain't Us, that spoke so much volume to me in the fact that I don't think Hex is involved in any way with them anymore. He can't be, because it's, like I said, he ignited a civil war. It's I don't know if it's damaged Immortals really, but it has kind of had that thing where, like, essentially it may have damaged the OpTic brand a little bit. It has turned some of the fans off. So I suppose you can say, some fans are coming away from the OpTic brand. And in my mind, if that's happening, Hex can't be involved in the new OpTic. Like, it can't, right? Like, think about it logically. If he's saying that and he's having an argument with the Immortals guys,
there's too many different
he can't
scenarios.
be involved.
There's too many different scenarios that we can't even we can't even begin to even get an idea of where we're actually at with it.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah.
Don't know. All right, let's put a pin in the OpTic talk because we've covered it. Yeah, because as much as I would like to have done this tomorrow, obviously Hex has got his timeline and whatever he needs to do. So I respect him for that. He did say it's tomorrow his announcement is coming.
If it's a mental announcement, we try and get a second episode this week. We'll talk about it.
Jesus. If not, we've got a hell of a lot to talk about next week.
It'll be too late by then. We'll do one Friday.
Yeah, no, you'd have to literally just call an emergency Spitfire just to cover it tomorrow after he makes his announcement. I'd be down. I'd be down to listen to what he's got to say and then talk about it. Probably be a lot just now, to be honest.
Right, let's move on from one franchise spot because this kicked off over a franchise spot to another franchise spot. The Minnesota, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, has announced it has a COD team.
I've just got to make sure I spell it right on the topic.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. And if you need a coach or a manager, hit my line. Ring it.
So those are the two next two. So the next one is, I don't know what they're called. I didn't see what they were called because I believe they're owned by the Minnesota Vikings, or at least somebody involved there.
Yeah, it was from what Deserter put out. It looks like there's some popular
clickbait.
I am trying to find out
because
Wise Ventures, right? I'm trying to find the information about it, but they are the next franchise. They joined the
Ziggy Whiff owns the Vikings, and he's principal in Wise.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Oh, it's Edgar.
I don't know what to say about it though. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know these guys. All right, cool. He owns the Vikings.
It's a mad location, though. You know?
Yeah, I didn't really.
They don't. So that's not an Overwatch thing, right? That's not Overwatch first. That's COD first, right?
Like, where the fuck is? This is a very ignorant British thing of me to say. Where the fuck is Minnesota? I don't even know. All right, so northeast. No, sorry, north.
I think Minnesota is one of the places I'd like to live in America. Just because I'm fairly certain it's if I remember correctly, out of How I Met Your Mother, it's where Marshall is from, and it looked great.
And that's it. That's why you'd want to live there.
Yeah, it's in that area of like North Dakota, South, like middle like desert zone. No one lives there.
Yeah. So yeah, they're confirming in the chat. It's the first brand new investors, and they've got nothing coming into this. So here's the thing about this franchise. I'm curious who they're getting expert wise. Because you got to have somebody who kind of knows COD a little bit.
This is your time, Brice. Pitch.
I'm going to tell you now. Actually, I'm not going to say anything.
Use the chat.
I'll tell
function,
you.
right?
I will tell you. In fact, I will tell you right now in the chat function. So some of the. Wait, hold
on. What have you heard? Because
it's not that I've heard.
The chat before.
I don't know who. So right now they have no players. They have the franchise. I don't know who the experts behind it are. I don't know what they're going to stand for. I don't know. Oh, is it? Someone says Sepso's a part of it. I thought Sepso was part of 100 Thieves. Isn't he on the board of directors of Thieves? That can't be right. Joe pitting into Minnesota. Maybe. Might be. Oh, that's a different team though, Reedy.
I don't care, but it just made like.
I know, but you know what that is.
Oh yeah, people are trying their luck.
Yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous.
So we think there's going to be more announced because we seem to think that the time has passed for your entry in. So do we think this is it?
What?
Is this as many teams as we're going to have franchise
no,
next year?
No, I don't think so.
I know they were aiming for 12.
I think there's probably a couple more coming.
12. How many teams
12.
are there?
There you go. Yeah, I think Edgar says 12. I think it's going to be 12. Yeah. I think it'll be 12. I
don't think we need 16. I think 12.
I think there'll be 16 next year.
Yeah.
There'll be 12 this year. There'll be 16 next year. Once the expansion kicks off.
Is there going to be a British franchise? I mean, we'll get to questions later, but it sounds like not enough people are that interested in London, considering it's going to be mostly based in the US. It's like, I don't know if they're entertaining the idea of like a worldwide thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
I just think it's interesting that they've kind of come out and kind of just jumped in. because it's brand new investors, right? Not involved. They're not in the Overwatch League. They're not involved in COD before. Nothing. It's brand new. So they're coming in from the outside, and they've seen this investment opportunity, and they've gone, yes, we will have it.
Paris do have one, very correct.
Yeah,
should know that.
Yeah, I've heard Paris has got one. Wasn't it one of the initial 5 they announced? Yes. So this brings us up to what, 7? We've got 7 at the moment. So there's got to be at least one more, at least, regardless of what happens. You can't have a league with a thing.
Sorry, I'm just catching up on you, was saying. I'll read that later. Ready. But yeah, more coming in as a positive. Minnesota is for me a strange place to pick, but fuck it, who really cares? If they think that there's a fan base that's gonna, well, that's the thing. We don't even really know what's going on, like how it's gonna be ran franchising next year either. Like, it's so up in the air. So yeah, it might not matter where you're best.
Yeah, franchising is insane.
Can't wait to have that franchising episode, Brice.
You guys have been banging on about having a franchising episode.
We don't know enough about it.
So I'm seeing Edgar in the chat. Why don't you get him on for the franchising episode?
I will tell you why. I will tell you the exact reason why, and I was going to bring this up, but things have changed. So if you're ever wondering why we've not done a franchising episode, right? So in regards to that long conversation we had on the OpTic thing, because I don't actually know anything, I've not been told anything official about OpTic. I can sit here and I can speculate on what information I have, what I know in terms of like my expertise over the last decade, so I can make educated guesses about the industry. The problem is that as soon as I'm told anything official, I can pretty much not ever really talk about it unless it's something benign. Because I now know things about franchising, I have to be very careful about how we do our franchising episode. So what we need is a lot of the information to go public before I can talk honestly about it, because I don't want to have context that I can't reveal or that doesn't make sense, because then I can't speculate on things. Because if I can't speculate on something, if I already know what it is, right? So I can't give an educated guess with information that I'm not supposed to share. And they're also bearing in mind, like we don't have all the information for the franchise yet. I still don't have it all. I don't know all the teams going through. I don't have, all the bloody information for the league, what's happening, the formats, all that sort of stuff. We also want the guests that come on. We're looking at some guests that are experts in like the Overwatch League or investments in general, because like I said, this is not about Reedy or MadCat, by the way. This is more like on my part. I'm
not over my head talking about that bullshit.
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. So I wanted experts on. So we need to wait to get these experts on as well, because obviously they can't reveal stuff if they're under NDA and information hasn't come out yet. So as much as we want to tell the fans everything possible, it's one of those ones where we would be doing you a disservice to have a franchise episode now. It would be shit because we would have to dance around a million topics, and we wouldn't be able to talk about a ton of things. All right, on that note, because there's not an awful lot more we can talk about the Minnesota. I'm calling them the Vikings now for now. Let's go on to our next conversation topic, the new patch.
That's all on you, Dill, bro. I ain't played COD in like 4 months.
The new patch has hit.
So it looks pretty good.
I mean, SMGs look pretty good.
I mean, I pick up the SOG regularly and just literally laugh at people, but I mean, I always knew there was some. I mean, I've never run a sub on this game, but whenever I pick it up or use it in a free for, I've always known you shoot someone in front, but I didn't think that was intentional. Like in the game, I just thought the game's just a bit dodgy, right?
Yeah.
But now knowing that that's intentional.
Wait, what's intentional?
You have to shoot like in front of people like Blackout with a sword, like pre-patch.
Oh wait, what? What now? That's what you have to do.
Yeah, because it wasn't head scan.
It wasn't. It was the same. You know how Blackout works, Reedy?
Yeah, you shoot in front of them.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
The SMGs were like that
the whole time.
Yeah.
What have they gone it back to what?
It's now hit scan. It's now hit scan.
You shoot what you see, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And they do feel crisper.
I mean, you really want my opinion on that?
Didn't you compete? Compete in this game?
I mean, it says a lot about the game. Realistically, like
it was intentional.
It was intentional. It wasn't.
Why is the hardest gun? Yeah. Why is the hardest guns technically to shoot and hand the recoil? Now do you have to shoot in front of them? So pretty much that like subs are fucked from the get go. Let's put it here: if you're a Maddox, you pretty much have the best gun in the game. Period.
Oh, yeah.
Period from the get go. I mean, obviously the SOG now has changed. I expect it to be a lot better.
I think from what I heard at the beginning of the game, if I remember rightly, they were saying that they just didn't want SMGs to be able to like beam people across the map. But then they made the Maddox, which
but the SOG
did both.
The SOG doesn't body anyone cross maps.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. It never used to. It should be better doing that now. I mean, it won't.
It is crisper now. Yeah. It feels different when you hit people now.
But it's crispier. But it's not a PPSH. It does recoil. It doesn't just stand there. It's not like Kenny from last year where he used to use it as an ICR, like or STG. Like whatever, man. Shoot in front of someone in fucking multiplayer, whatever.
Was that confirmed, Edgar, that everything next year is projectile rather than hit scan?
There's a lot of changes coming next year. I'll be honest with you.
That's
probably why I started. Running the SOG because I was so used to playing Blackout. It just felt right. But then even I ended up switching to the Maddox because I was like, I would pick up a Maddox in game and be like, this gun is ridiculous compared to my SOG. Like I can have gunfights with this game. SOG is like I was still running double stock because I thought I needed it. Like if I didn't outstrafe somebody, I was losing that gunfight against a Maddox that beamed me. But it's insane. Like, here's the thing, right? So apparently the only gun that worked with hit scan was the GKS with double extended barrel.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
Yeah,
I think they turned it into that to register it as better long
scan,
range.
Yeah. It turned it into hit scan, from what I understand. So I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know if we're going to be seeing more SOGs because I already felt like we saw like double SOGs, and I felt like that's probably enough because the Maddox is so good. The problem is the Maddox is so good.
It's a bit of a do-it-all, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah. Admittedly, you do need an AR on some maps because obviously the ICR just is a laser. And we're using the thermal ICR, which I believe has now been GA'd. But I don't know if it's going to make that big of a difference to them. I've seen a GKS. I don't know if the GKS is really going to be...
Nah. I've seen some people saying, oh, I don't know, Dylan, has anyone been using it in scrims?
I mean, I play against AM, so they don't technically use the right things. I mean, the stream yesterday, people were using them, so like people were using SOGs yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mix, but I don't think it'll catch on. I think the SOG will remain. The problem is with the GKS, I think it's too much in between the SOG and the Maddox, and it's like, well,
I don't know. Like you gotta think as well. It won't change that much. It'll be better for a lot of different people. But if you already mastered the SOG before, you're still gonna master it now.
Yeah, it just feels better. That's all. That's the biggest thing. It just
better.
feels
like,
better.
If someone's standing still, it's the same as now if they're standing still. Like if an ICR is standing still, the SOG is taking the same gunfire as it used to, right? Yeah. So technically, it's only gonna matter when someone's basically running. And even then, like, are you really gonna get turned on that hard? Like,
wait.
It's just gonna feel a little bit crispier and just more well-rounded.
Are you leading shots now in line, or did
no? Now it's hit scan.
So you used to have to lead shot.
Yeah.
You're actually.
It wasn't that noticeable because obviously the SOG isn't used across map on somebody moving most of the time. You just don't take that. You don't take that fight. But so apparently, I've just mentioned in the chat. Apparently, it's more people are running SOGs, which doesn't surprise me because there's two things I know about Call of Duty, right? One is that the game, the game always gets faster,
as far as I'm aware.
Oh, they're not. The game always gets faster because once pros get to know it better and better and better, the game will continuously get faster. So we usually see, if you go through all the history of the cards, you usually see teams drifting towards less main ARs, more into the flexes and more into the fast SMGs, because that's the way the game ends up running. Because it's more high pressure, it's more pace. This game is no exception. This game already started off absolutely ballistic. Add into that the fact that you've got the Maddox, which is a do-it-all gun and can basically do anything you need to. Sorgs were getting squeezed out because it wasn't that much beneficial once you got rid of the double stock. Now that you've got, Sorgs of the essentially it's a buff, right? This whole meta is a buff.
I
think it's a buff for someone that has never used a Sorg before, or someone that was really good. But like for the best Sorg players, they maybe get a little bit better, but they're still going to be as good.
Yeah, I think you may see a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if JP is out there with his stats, if he sees an uptick in Sorg KDs. It wouldn't surprise me.
But Sorgs are still getting good KDs recently, anyway. I think.
Well, again, that's the same thing, isn't it?
Stat from Anaheim that last set of leagues or the last event where it was a stupid stat where Sorgs are just so high up in the list.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Again, like I said, come on, think about all the CODs you've ever played. They always get faster. Always. No matter what patches come in for it, it eventually gets faster and faster as more teams move towards it. And then obviously, technically this is a buff for the SMGs.
I reckon that's why Merc, because I watched Trading Shots a week and Merc was saying that the gameplay was just sloppy last week. I reckon the game's gotten that people are trying to get the game that fast now that this is turned sloppy because everyone just wants to run about at this point.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
bearing in mind,
I'd love to know. I have listings and fucking watch people play in theater, but just how sloppy some of the teams are now. I think they're just moving at such a fast pace now. It's hurting them.
Yeah, well, it's chaos. A lot of times it can devolve into chaos. When you're bearing in mind the mechanics of sliding and shot punching as well. And how quick that makes engagements. Teams are basically smashing sprint and going in, and some of these hard points and some of these controls are literally hard to decipher what's going, because of the amount of trades that come in. You can't even see the pros move so quick. It's difficult for me to even kind of quantify, how they move that quickly. Because I'd said this before, right? I can't shot punch. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm just not good at it. And the way these pros do it honestly makes me think they're cheating.
It's because you haven't got reaction times, pal.
Oh, they've been playing it 9 months. If you're not good at the game 9 months in, you might as well call it a day now.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to everyone, bro. Literally everyone.
Talking to me.
The meta, people sitting there saying, "Oh, Gen G run 3 Sorgs on frequency." My team done that at the start of the game. It was good. It's been good. Just depends on how you work as a team and play as a team. It's Call of Duty. It's not a rocket science game.
I don't think this one is. There's been ones that
it's literally one the rocket science.
No. I don't think this one is.
Oh yeah, this.
You better get stabbed there again, man.
I think there's been debug cards.
There's nothing to it. Just work as a unit. Obviously play correctly, but work as a unit.
Yeah, Call of Duty will never change. Work as a team, communicate well, and get each other's trade. S&D is a different ball game. Hardpoint's literally the most simple fucking game to play. It just blows my mind, man.
S&D obviously is a bag of shit on this game.
S&D on this game is awful, but there still is a right way to play it.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind watching these pro teams that are actually awful, and they paying coaches a lot of money, and they're not even helping them.
I've seen a few coaching positions up this week. Have you not got yourself a job yet?
Wait, who's asked for a coach?
I
saw Whalers and that did.
Yeah, didn't Reese ask for one?
Yeah, Reese, Whalers,
Yeah, how are you
Dylan?
not Reese's coach?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh.
I don't want to I don't want to just be there to write notes and stuff, but it's more than that. A coach should be a bit more than just writing notes in my eyes, man. There's S&D that I watch week in, week out, and it just blows my mind, and it's so easy, man. I don't care. Gen G came second that last event. S&D before they got space. It's just I saw Morks run onto a bomb when there was 5 other people alive and they had the bomb planted. He came out of vent and ran onto the bomb, and I was just sitting there thinking, why is he just give up his life like that? Just why? What was the need?
There was
we talked about S&D last night.
S&D last night was literally, I don't know what the hell.
Oh,
what they
with
put in the
Whalers and that.
Oh,
Whalers has. I
no,
actually saw that. He had 17 kills, gets them to 5-5. They get bombed down, and then all of them just die. Like, why are you dying?
No. Yeah, that's fair enough.
No, that's
but
not even.
still,
I mean, there was a lot yesterday.
I don't know.
Are we gonna be talking about
Well, didn't Rec have a close
are
view?
we gonna talk about? And I saw that there was a tweet trying to rectify, but we're gonna try plan in the same spot where 3 different people have slid into the milk building door
and the ice
and
cream.
ice cream and killed them. I'll call it milk and kill them. Yeah. And you're not gonna either. I don't care. Like they clearly aren't going to compete from these other 3 places that you say you can get killed from because every single one of them has stood in that corner. It doesn't make sense, and you ain't even moved your position to even pre-aim that corner.
But you can't even like blame a coach for that though. It's like
you can't. I'd like to say you can't blame the coach, but I mean, what are they now? 0-16 is that S&D record or is it Matt record? 0-16 is that S&D 0-16, 0-17?
I think it is.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
one of the worst S&D records.
I mean, you can be horrible at S&D as a team. Like I remember, was it last year we had a team? Was it the Tom team where we was horrible at one stage S&D? And we had a shocking record. And even then, we could win a few by just countering teams. Just literally countering them for 5 rounds, like 6 rounds. Like you can counter that one team at least because they're gonna do the exact same thing every round.
Oh, bro, like at the end of the day, man, like when it comes to S&D, like you have to look at the coach at times. What the fuck is he telling these players to do? The players aren't always right. Like, why did I'm gonna go back to it. Brian Saint, shit coach.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Like, I don't care. Awful. Like, why has he not been looked at yet? Who else? Who else is a bad coach? Bevels is literally not doing well right now. I will say that he's not doing well. Why is he not being looked at? Why has the team been chopped and changed and Aches has stayed on? Why has Bevels not been looked at?
We don't know the internals really. I think that's the
we
issue,
don't know
right?
the internals. From what I can say about
I know
that,
what you mean though.
From what I can say about that, every team, if we're gonna talk about it, Aches has swindled. He's got a Maddox and a sniper. We need to be chatting about that because
I don't know. I just feel like next year
they've had Decimate, Pharaoh, Hugh, they've had Silly.
I just feel a lot of these players are gonna
people,
have
I think would run a better sniper and a better Maddox than Aches.
I'm just saying, next year, a lot of these players are going to have a big wake-up call when they're not the bastards calling the shots.
Well, I think I don't know.
Nah, it has to change, bro. To an extent.
Oh, yeah, it has to change.
Has to change to an extent. How has Llama God still stayed on that team as well? I don't get it.
Again, we don't. The whole caveat with this is that we don't know the internals. We don't know if these coaches have any power in that structure. Some do, some don't.
Yeah, but they're just there for the ride then. So why are the players just letting them be there for the ride? So it's the players' fault as well at that stage. It's York's fault for paying them money every month. What are they doing? Explain to me, what are they doing?
I think it's more complicated than you're giving it credit for.
It really isn't, bro. I worked with Joe. It's really not that difficult. It really isn't. He would whip us into shape. If we weren't coming online, he would go to the org and be like, look, you need to cut their salary. Like,
you were never going to get anywhere.
Am I right? Yeah, hold tight that. By the way, Imperial scumbags. Anyway, like you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you've got to look at a coach. If you're bringing on a coach or a team manager, you still need to look at them. Or why are you paying this guy?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna be real, bro. This year has been a shambles. So whatever bullshit's happening this year, it's just whatever, bro. Like this year's been a shambles on many different parts. I expect it to change next year when it's gonna be like going to like the traditional sports, like kind of like what Edgar said. Like there's people in here that aren't gonna let you mess around with their money. Like they are going to pay. Like they aren't gonna pay if the team goes bad or ship off. They have to pay. So they're gonna employ the right people. They're gonna make sure these people are doing the right things. That the power is being delegated. That the right coaches have been in place, that they get looked over, like have probably monthly reviews to see what the coaches are doing differently. It's going to change next year, bro. It definitely will, but I think for this year, you just got to bite your tongue and hope that these people that you're talking about don't have any power next year, or if they do, they're gone if they're doing exactly what we think they're doing.
I know for a fact a lot of these people are just literally good friends with someone and they're just getting a paycheck. They're not actually working for anything, and that's what grinds my gears because.
Oh yeah, I
know,
you,
like,
I'll
not
tell you
even
now,
like.
I tweeted we needed a coach Reedy, and I had a few DMs over the past couple of days, and the first thing that I put is it salaried, like. Do you not like? And these are people that have played, so they know it's not salaried, but they're just hoping it is. Oh, we can get a free little paycheck at the end of the month. Nah, man.
It's just
It's not salaried. Like when like circuit, that shit doesn't happen unless you're a rare few.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I think we need to. We can speak about coaches coming up in a future episode because it is interesting.
I don't want to be on for that episode because I'll just literally roast every single coach in the scene. It's just boring. Bar Crowder, fucking. There's actually a handful of coaches that are actually good that are in the pro league.
I think what Chris has said, Crowder has players that listen to him. That's the difference.
Because they respect him.
Crowder's
and they're not
looked
idiots.
at like a god, but has
and
a
they've won
stacked
championships,
team.
and they're not idiots.
Yeah.
Flash has literally won how many championships, and he still probably gives Crowder respect because he's his coach. He's part of the fucking team. But you look at people. Oh, don't worry, bro. I'm getting.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take it. So very quickly, if you are watching, questions in the chat now. This is this section because we only have 13 minutes till Pro League. We promise we let you guys watch Pro League because we're watching it too. And also, Tunn, I believe you want to talk about Splice briefly.
Yeah, what the fuck? Can we talk about Splice last week? Everyone sort of like thought they were going to be insane with Hook, and that didn't happen. Any reasons to why? Do you think it's too early for them? That was my query.
Maybe too early. I mean, it's definitely early. I don't think many teams last week that changed had much time to practice. But if it doesn't work, Temp and Hook just can't play together.
Imagine that's the truth.
I beat Temp and Hook last year, you know what I'm saying, with that Epsilon team, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, they're not a fucking god squad, but I do think they won Rostermania, and I think they will get better 100%.
Yeah, they should get better. If they don't get better, it comes down to Temp and Hook not being able to play with each other. There's probably just not the right combination of personalities. Maybe Temp just doesn't rubs off the wrong way and temp mentally, who knows? But
do you think they built it up too much? Do you think it got built up too much?
What, the hype?
Yeah.
We built it up.
Well, we did.
I mean, it's hard to not build up that like they've got two glitches. They've got Jerd who puts pressure on, doesn't really have shit maps. He has a couple now and then. I mean, who doesn't? You give him a Tempest, it's a gun which you expect to do well in. It looked good. It's a gun you expect someone like him who's mechanically good at anything that he plays any game. Who else? You got Looney. Looney takes anyone to a championship, and then Aqua, which is kind of a madness because when Aqua first picked up that ICR the first couple of games, he looked like he was going to probably be one of the best ARs in the game. But then after that Pro League stint, he's been having some absolute stinkers. So I don't know what's changed with him, but I don't know.
I don't know. For me, it's curious because I think. Can you imagine if Tem and Hook actually, like, if that's actually a thing, they can't play on the same team? Those two are ridiculously good, but together just not better. It doesn't make any sense to me. It shouldn't be a thing. So let's get into the questions here. Do you think we'll see team camos in Modern Warfare from the start of the game? I would guess so, based on the franchise system. We should do, right? Like, that's like
maybe not from the very beginning, but start of the season.
I think, if anything, it should be launched at the start of the season for when they first go into the Pro League. Like, boom, a big event. Here you go. Get your team camos. Support who you want.
I mean, there might still be camos this year. I remember a Black Ops. Wait, we're playing a Black Ops game, right? Yeah, we're playing Black Ops 4. On Black Ops 3, they only released team camos after the teams qualified for the champs. They could be doing the same thing as that year.
I hope they're better than last year's.
Last year was a meme. Like, quite legit.
Bryce, before we finish these questions, we do have some from YouTube as well.
Oh, okay. Do you want to chuck in the YouTube one now?
Go on then. I'll chuck one in. Considering we've passed the halfway point of the season, who do you think has been the most underwhelming player and biggest surprise player of the first half of the season?
Ooh.
So somebody said he would have said John for the most underwhelming, and Journey for the biggest surprise.
Dylan.
I would say
Biggest
underwhelming.
surprise is Dylan. Biggest surprise is Dylan.
Yeah, well,
I don't give it. Either that or Dashy.
To be as good as he.
yeah, everyone knew he was going to be decent.
I didn't think Dashy was all that last year.
Yeah, I had this argument as well.
He could snipe last year. He wasn't that good elsewhere.
I'm trying to think who else has really been like standout this year. I think
Envoy.
Yeah, Envoy for me is a bit more of a surprise than Dylan because I think everyone knew Dylan was going to get a shot at some point, but Envoy sort of like just was like, holy shit, Brack, fucking Brack.
Nah, he's good, but I need to see it in tournament time.
Yeah, fair enough. I think
whereas like other players have done it in tournament.
Who's been underwhelming then?
John, 100%. I agree with him. John is probably the worst for me. Classic didn't have a great year last year.
Nah.
That's like a world champ, man.
Yeah, but if he performs in the next two tournaments,
so is Haggy.
It's what he's done the past years. He's had shocking starts.
Yeah.
But he's not even been in the Pro League in one of them, so I still won champs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. All right, let's move on to the question because they've now started rolling in. No, that's not a good question. Do you think a slower paced team will do well at Miami and get into Pro League? That's not how it works.
And it's definitely not possible. That's why I stopped playing, cousin.
Yeah, I think he maybe means champs. I don't think a slower team will do well in this current format. So I don't think that's realistic. What team specific in-game items would you like to see implemented? All of them. I want to see everything. I want to get a Crimsix head that I can put on the side of my gun as like a little key ring thing. Yeah, that's it. I want a skunk bobblehead. I want to put it on the dashboard of the screen. I want to be able to customize my desktop as a team. I want to see the winning team of each event. I want their faces in game on players. I want everything. I want everything. I want to be able to colour my shoes.
I think uniforms would be good. Remember when was it OpTic? Or was it on AW? Did they put OpTic? Denial. They put the denial suits in, huh?
I think League of Legends do it right every year where they give champ skins to like the team who won. So whatever champ they played most of the time. Yeah, they do it so well.
They should after every event win get your in-game team camo like as a suit, like you're running around like a unit. That would be pretty dope.
What big org won't get in franchising? I'm trying to think of the big orgs. E United, who hasn't confirmed? E United hasn't confirmed. FaZe hasn't confirmed. 100 Thieves hasn't
sound
confirmed.
Like they don't want to.
Yeah, FaZe have basically said no, right?
Yeah.
So FaZe. What about?
Easy question.
100 Thieves was supposed to be going for the LA slot, so now I don't know. And I haven't heard from E United.
I don't think E
United a big org.
Yeah, I don't think E United really are a big org, man.
Yeah.
I still think they're a sizable org, a decent size org. Bearing in mind that anybody in this current climate to pay your players has to have a decent size org.
For COD, yeah. Not in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I suppose in the grand scheme of things.
You got 6 minutes, Brice, before you get your head chopped off.
Yeah, right, next one. What do you guys think about Yakko being benched?
On Giants.
Yeah. That's a bit raw. I swear Heretics wanted him, right?
They did. Yeah. They wanted him ahead of Sukri. Couldn't get him for whatever reason. He must have kicked up a fuss.
Lol. It's just unfortunate for him. It's happened to me before, but yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's not. Wait, hold on. Yeah, but then they've replaced him with Sukri. So.
Yeah, it's just a very. I mean, I would replace anyone with Sukri. He's a fucking very good player.
Sukri's great.
Don't really care about him. Move on.
How are orgs making a profit after paying the franchise costs? Honestly, that is such an open question. Honestly, Nathan, I'm going to give you the honest answer right now. I don't know. Revenue share. Yeah, franchising, like that's too big of a question to answer in the next 5 minutes. There's got to be many revenue streams coming up, but I think it's like one of those ones where it'll come. Now, clearly it's been pitched to them, so there'll be ways to kind of get it done. Best EU and players that are left at the moment. I think most people are now in AM teams.
There's a lot of AM teams being made up. Yeah. Some fairly decent ones.
The only people not left in teams is probably that Control, some Kiko Control, and I think Gardo's looking to play, and I don't think he's got a team.
Because there's your team, Dylan.
There's
and Big Sport, Dave, and all them lot.
Yeah.
Giants look decent. Then there's whatever team. Tommy's
team,
Josh's team, Ben's team.
Quite sad. It actually seems like there's quite a few teams, but only like 1 or 2 of them are actually going to be able to go to Miami.
Moving on. Speaking of Miami, how many teams do you think Mind Freak will be at Champs Pro Teams?
Based on what we've seen in Anaheim,
if they get to play all of them
at Champs,
they'll be playing them at Champs.
Well, they can only play a few of them. But if they was to play all of them, decent amount of them.
That's the thing, because it's probably going to be groups, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're not going to play all of them. But if you used to put them against all of them, they'd be a bit of decent few.
But
we've seen some of the fucking teams.
Right, let's run through the teams and tell us.
Some of the teams.
True. I've seen some of the teams, but you got to think like they've been playing fucking shitters all year. Like literally.
But to consistently win that bracket, mate, you can't tell me you don't. I think they'd be at least the bottom 4. Easy.
Listen.
I wouldn't say easy. I think they'd possibly beat them. All right.
Listen, look at some of the teams in the league, bro. Fuck me, bro. Callum Swan will come back. He hasn't even probably scrimmed on this game and beat some of these.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. No, yeah, all right then, cool. But I think that whole AM bracket, like winning that's like, yeah.
I think Mind Freak have shown they're consistent enough. They keep winning. They can definitely do some work against the pros. Like
I think
they're that consistent.
From watching them,
yeah.
I think. Look, I mean, we're not going to be talking top 4 teams in any of these divisions. Midnight, did they beat Midnight?
Yeah.
Do they beat Evil Geniuses?
I don't even know who Evil Geniuses is.
No.
Excellent.
Looks like they beat the Envy.
Yeah. Do they beat UIU?
Yeah. Listen, about 4 or 5 teams. Anyway, I don't want to list every single team on that list.
No, I'm not going to go. Do they beat 100 teams?
All right, we need to do this quickly. We have 2 minutes left. All right, last couple of questions. There should be some reward-based system implemented based on how many hours you watch the CDL. Just Twitch drops. Just do the Twitch drop link thing. That's what I would suggest. Gets people watching as well. Edgar, that is such a giant question. Which players do you think will have trouble adapting their behaviour to the new power structure next year?
Lots of them.
A lot of them.
At least 80% will have trouble, depending how much trouble is, when they have to wake up and smell the roses. When suddenly they realise that they don't have any power outside of their contracts.
When they actually have to wake up.
Yeah. If Hex and the COD team leads, would the Immortals be the most hated team? No, they wouldn't.
That's not my fault.
So they really haven't done anything wrong. And to what 1 minute Pro League, let's end the questions there. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, put them on the YouTube. We will try and get to them next week. Obviously, Pro League is ended next week, so we have a little bit more kind of loose ending to the episode. We can end it when we want. But let's go through everybody here. Really, anything to say?
Yes, again, any franchise and teams looking for a coach, build a line. I ain't a pushover. Just build a line. Smart man.
Love it. Del?
What?
Anything to say?
Nah.
Love it. Good luck to you in Miami.
No,
buddy.
coach. Anything?
Tunn?
Nothing in particular. We should be back next week. As I said, we'll see what the Hex announcement looks like tomorrow. Might be back later in the week if I can tie this stupid bugger down for an event for a day. But yeah, we'll try and get something going.
I'll be at Miami at God, man. Come see me, bro. I'll be posting the AM brackets.
I'm expecting you to be honest, because we're gonna have to watch you. And I was saying the same to B Sport. I can't have any years let me down. I can't have it.
Mate, he's fucked for the opposition. Let me tell you that, man. These are not ready for what I got to bring to the table.
With what Reedy was saying about BB Connor last week, I don't know, mate.
Fuck, he can put his feet up, man. Fuck me, I'll pick up every gun off the fucking floor.
Right, I think that brings it nicely to the end here of Spitfire. Of course, thank you all so much for watching. The Pro League is now on, unless you're watching this on the VOD. But make sure you go over to www.twitch.tv/Call of Duty and catch up on the last few days of Pro League. My name has been Bryce. This has been Spitfire. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.